Hey everybody, I'm Chris.
I'm Josh.
I'm Rootsgarn, and it's gonna be a bit of a lonely week.
We're all so alone.
We left Seamus in the desert out to die, and I think Mumbles went back into the desert to watch Seamus die, so it's just the three of us this week. What kind of crazy shenanigans are the three of us gonna get up to in the...
The cow.
We're going to go and get a sword that's on fire that was better in the last game.
Oh, okay, so we're obtaining a sword whose description is... not that good?
Basically, yeah.
Am I following this? Excellent. And how long will this take? Approximately the entire week? Outstanding.
I hope. It'd be great. So you guys were all like, oh, let's all do the main quest shit for like 5 consecutive weeks, and I wasn't able to goof off and do any cool stuff, so this is my revenge now. What is that place?
I mean, the thing is, I think we're concerned about the season getting too long, but here's the thing. This thing we're doing right here that isn't even like, this weird random errand, this represents a large percentage of the experience of playing this game as intended.
Yeah. It's one of those Bethesda things where the game is much better when you turn your brain off and stop paying attention to the very important main story that keeps telling you to go do stuff, and instead, just run around, loot stuff, hang out in caves, do side quests with Hancock, that kind of thing.
It's like people at Bethesda know how to do their jobs in vacuums, but sometimes they have some real trouble coordinating it in a way that's appealing, which is surprising at this point.
I was very confused by that silhouette there, because it looked like the fucking Liberty Prime, and I was like,
that's what I was going to ask.
I was also confused, yeah.
No, it's some kind of water tower or something.
Well, we had a near run-in with a water tower that sort of looks like a robot. This episode is off to a really exciting start.
Yeah, we did it.
Anyway, so I've actually never...
Right now this looks kind of like Stalker.
It does look like Stalker, and it's funny because the experience of playing Stalker is so different than the experience of playing the Fallout games, even though they're nominally similar, or they're visually similar, and like they kind of feel similar in places. Yeah, it's like radiation, the post-apocalypse, guns, junkyard towns. But, apart from the milieu differences with, like, the science fiction and this game being a little more, psychotronic and a little less understated, depressing-ass Russian novel. But, like, the other aspect to it is just that the Stalker games are much more about the experience of being alone and surviving, whereas these games are more about the experience of exploring, I think is a good way to put it. Like, there's shit to find in Stalker, but you don't really want to find shit in Stalker.
Stalker always felt much closer to, like, the Metro games in terms of tone and
like a good trip in this game is one where you run into a bunch of enemies, kill them, and loot them. A good trip in Stalker is one where nobody fucks with you. Sort of like by making the dangerous elements like still scary but somehow more banal. Like Stalker really kind of defeats the idea that you're playing as an action hero, or that the game is about the violence.
Oh, we got a distress signal. Oh, this is one of those, like, you can find a Brotherhood cache that's a distress signal, and inevitably everybody's dead by going in here, which is a place full of super mutants, but we're not going to do that.
Feeling eyes on my back.
We are, however, going to shoot this bloatfly with a shotgun that has no ammo in it.
Now it's just starting to have fun.
So, at the risk of opening up... Go ahead, Rootsgarn.
Was that holstered and not loaded, or was it like
I guess
you switched back to the gun? Because I thought if you switch away from a gun, switch back to it, it loads itself. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong.
It should have. That's the way I thought it did, but I guess it didn't.
I actually don't think that's the case because you just switch back to your pistol. I think it had 2 bullets in the magazine.
You'd think it would, but maybe that's just... They make it too easy to avoid, Let's steal all these guys' crops. Make it
Switch
too
back
easy
to your
to
pistol.
avoid the,
Oh, sorry. Thought you might
yeah.
be one of those forged maniacs.
Oh, God.
Yeah. A group of them took over the old iron works, and they'll shoot you just as soon as look at you.
And that's
So,
about
Chris,
as
what were you gonna
competent
say?
as the Brotherhood gets in this game.
No, I was going to say, at the risk of opening up all the horrible things we talked about last week, can we blame the secret underground lab people for all of the super mutant deaths in this game, theoretically?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do they have a
I don't care
meaningful
whose fault the
motivation as to
super
why they
mutant
do
deaths
it?
No. Because they're the Institute.
Abraham.
You're back, huh?
I like how we haven't introduced ourselves to this guy yet, and we know him on a first-name basis.
You're back, huh?
My granddad's old sword. It's the closest thing I've got to an heirloom.
Oh.
I don't guess you'd
Is this implied to be the same one from the last game?
I've got caps. If that's what you
No,
want.
it's the granddad's sword.
Industrial
Well,
buildings
it
like
could
that are
be.
pretty dangerous.
You know, you've got some nerve.
I
I'm
mean,
just a
no, actually, it
hard-working
couldn't
man
be.
trying to feed my family.
It's just like
This
the
is only like
Bethesda thing
10
where,
years
like,
after Fallout 3.
It's the Bethesda thing where they fixate on these elements and add them to the canon like they're permanent things. Like some guy's junkyard gasoline sword from Fallout 3 becomes like, oh, obviously, it's like the plow or axes. It's just like a natural progression of these available materials in these survivor societies.
What about your son, Jake? You don't care what happens to him?
I didn't raise my boys to be raiders. As far as I'm concerned,
Who has an heirloom
Wasteland
sword that was clearly
justice.
made as
Can you tell
part
me
of
anything
being
else
in the
about
wasteland?
Forged?
they're
Like,
led by
he
a
did not
guy
inherit that from the old
came in
world,
from
I
outside of
assume.
the Commonwealth a few months back and started recruiting.
I don't know. I actually wouldn't put it past to have just like a vault with a bunch of old shish kebabs in it.
It was the
Kind of
the
a
Vault
sword am I
Tech
looking for?
One of them
experiment
old swords, rigged up to
where
Bethesda would
you-
introduce it as like a weapon used by the soldiers at the end of the war against the Chinese, and it would be, they would think it would be great world building to explain where shish kebabs came from by saying it was a you know,
You're doing me a big favor, and I'll
it
make
was
up to you
secretly the
Christmas.
bandolier or whatever of, not bandolier, bayonet of all the guns that the people in power armor had in the war. I could totally see them doing something like that too. That's just sad.
like it still kind of looks like a junk sword, although it looks less like a junk sword than the old shish kebab. The old shish kebab was a lawnmower blade attached to a gas tank, and this one looks like this one's curved, all katana style, because I guess katanas are better.
It's like a very limited application for any burning weapon in warfare. But I mean, that's the kind of thing
Yeah.
we set aside in this game. And, you know, it's fine. It's just like, the more time you spend explaining it, the less it makes sense in its context.
I'm surprised they didn't make like fire and electricity and all the other weird elemental crap part of their random drop system, because they've already got borderline magical crap anyway, like shoulder
Yeah.
blades that'll turn you invisible, like we're doing right now.
Does it see me?
Nothing there now.
I guess it
No,
does.
you're invisible.
Hearing shit. Did you hear that?
Hey,
Man, I thought I heard a
Not come out
gunshot and then my
where
light
you
turning
are.
off and falling down.
what was that?
Nothing.
What do you guys think about stealth mechanics that are dumb like that? Do you wish they were better?
It's
It
really
depends
hard.
on the
Like
game.
you'd have to put a lot of work into doing one that is not lame. Like even games that really put a lot of work into it don't get it right a lot of the time.
It's like, most of the time, does it need to be fun? Sorry, does it need to make sense
I
as
think
long
this
as
is
it's
the
fun?
time to do this, and also some of this stuff and that. Eat all the sugar bombs.
He's hopped up on sugar and Yagwai meat. This isn't going to be good.
Where is my medics? That's good. Jet is cool.
Hang on a second. I want to pick out my drugs.
Oh, he's Skull Man, like, Skull Face. That's not good. Oh, he's dead.
Skull
That's right,
Man.
'cause he broke the game.
Why didn't that hit that guy? Hey!
Did you just
Just
disarm
break
him?
his
There we
bat.
go. Oh right, I had walk.
God, I hate that noise so much.
I wish it would
Hey, buddy,
like
what's
play
up?
something else, even something equally dumb but just less, I don't know, goofy. Like, just like a doo 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 doo. So anything but the laughter guy that pops up.
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of them up top doing stuff.
There's just like this
Well, that
firefight
doesn't
going on
sound
in the
good,
background.
McCready. Let me know if you
Josh
need
is
any help.
carefully, Josh is transfixed for just an instant of battle time with the issue of, do I want to pick up this coffee cup on this counter or not? I'm just trying to imagine, like, just like a military operation where there's like gunfire going on in the next room, and the operator's just like looking at the counter, looking at the mug, looking back at the gunfight, looking at the mug, and making a snap decision to throw it into his duffel
it's
bag.
Archer. Again, Archer the video game would be so great.
Who would make Archer the video game?
I would hope
Telltale.
Obsidian. Or Telltale. Telltale would be... That might work.
Do you want the Alpha Protocol Archer game, or do you want the visual storytelling Archer game?
Where'd that little fucker go?
Maybe
It's
we
just
can
like
get
the
them to
Archer video game.
collaborate.
Every scenario would be a dick or be an asshole. Like that's the branching in that game.
Find him and kill him.
Wow. Oh, damn it.
I can't read anything.
Oh no, I'm carrying too much.
So how should the Pip-Boy work? It should make everything invisible except the light. Because light wouldn't be made invisible. Oh yeah, that makes sense. I still think it would have been kind of funny if they just made your Pip-Boy invisible. Like, it also would have been really annoying, and wouldn't have even made sense.
I mean, it would have made more sense than what currently happens to it.
That is accurate.
But
Can
seriously,
we be
is there
done
no
with
way
combat here? I need to talk to McCready and give him my stuff.
Is there any way to actually mod your sword to have fire, or is the shish kebab the only weapon that has fire damage?
I'm
Other than
sure there's a way to
flamethrowers.
mod it.
Well,
The
I mean,
issue
not
is
with, like,
the shish
game
kebab
mods,
is it
but
no
with
longer
the-
sets people on fire. It just has additional energy damage.
So is this? I've never been here, but this is another example of like a gang that, you know, doesn't really have a hook,
Back. I was having
or like they
No,
have
their hook
They have
is
a little
fire.
bit more of a hook.
theme.
But it is pretty much just raiders with a name now.
Can't break the code.
They're raiders, but they
That's what I
really
would've
like
meant,
fire.
Can't break the code. Terminal somewhere.
hide. No sign of him now.
Ah!
This is the
Cola
one that
Quantum
ends
came
with,
out of the fucking... The lunchbox.
this-
Where is
Okay, what's up
McCready?
with the lunch boxes?
Okay, that's just about the worst thing I've ever.
They were
smelled in my entire
a
life.
collector's edition for Fallout 3, and people, I guess, liked it so much that they decided to include it as a, I don't know, weird loot box for this game, except all it does is drop, like, Nuka-Cola Quantums.
Except, like, I feel like what happens is I open it, and then confetti and a noise happens for no reason. And, like,
Yes.
then a fork comes out, and I'm like, what?
Yes.
Was that worth bringing me out of this video game?
Absolutely not, but it's Bethesda. I mean, you were mentioning earlier how they love their own iconography, and that is part of their own
Yeah.
iconography. And I mean, honestly, I know people that, I have coworkers where Fallout is one of the 3 games they played that year, Fallout 3, and they bought the collector's edition, because if you're going to buy 3 games in a year, I guess you buy the weird, goofy, super special edition.
You buy as much of
And-
those video games as possible.
And they remember getting the lunchbox, and they thought it was really cool. So I guess that's just something that stuck in people's heads, and they wanted to capitalize on that. But
Yeah,
no,
there's
there's
nothing
no
wrong
reason
with
for it to
that.
confetti.
Yeah, there's
I mean,
nothing
it
wrong
kind of
with
is, because the game
honoring
doesn't
it.
otherwise like breaking the fourth wall. Like,
Fucking seeing things.
Oh yes, no, there's absolutely something wrong with how they did it. There's nothing wrong with like respecting like the positive associations people have with your symbols. And there's nothing even super wrong with keeping your visual palette relatively unvaried and like you're sort of having these things, this small pool of things that you reference over and over again. I don't know. It's just I feel like that they didn't implement it in a way that was amazing.
I'm more bothered by Nuka-Cola Quantum, just because they were glowing in 3 because they were collectibles, and it made sense for them to glow because you knew, oh, it's a collectible, I gotta be able to find it and see it. And oh god, we're doing this.
I figured
Was
it's
that worth
typical
it?
Bethesda fashion when I was first here that falling in the lava would just be like a damage over time status effect, because that's how Bethesda would do it, because they're bad. But no, it just instantly kills you.
It's better than like it not doing any damage, I guess, which is how some games would have done it.
Yeah.